let's check on the situation in Tuguegarao. And now we talk to Mayor Jefferson Soriano. Good morning, Mayor. Thank you for joining us. Now, there is widespread flooding in Cagayan due to Ulysses season, and reports say that over 100 barangays are still flooded. Sir, what can you say about accusations that the massive release of water from Magat Dam partly caused this flooding?
Yes, Ms. Ria, the flooding here in Tuguegarao, the unexpected flooding in Tuguegarao was really unexpected because it's the first time that we had this since 1972. I was still a student then, but I was no longer in Tuguegarao. But our elders have been telling us this is even worse than 1972. But it was a confluence of events because we had 6 typhoons, while Tuguegarao was not hit directly. But because of the rains in the upper provinces and partially the release of Magat Dam, we had this unprecedented flooding in our city. For the first time, the barometer of our flooding is the Buntun Bridge. So at that time, Buntun Bridge reached about 13.3 meters high. The river reached 13.3 meters high, and it would have reached its flooring at 14 meters. The critical area was 11. The critical level was 11 meters. So that's the barometer. If at some point, if the water reaches that level, then we know where our flooding would be in the different barangay. This time, it has reached 13.3, so it was really high.
So critical na talaga siya. Sir, were you informed about the water release from Magat Dam? Because on the part of the National Irrigation Administration, they said they were in coordination with the LGUs and other government agencies, and that they were already pre-releasing water as early as November 9.
Yes, Ms. Ria, actually we were informed. We were in constant monitoring of the releases in Magat Dam because per our previous experiences, the water when released from Magat Dam reaches Tuguegarao from 5 to 9 hours depending on the amount of water being released. As of now, they are still releasing about 779 cubic meters per second. They still have one gate open as of now.
Right.
So,
Mayor, was that enough time to inform the residents of Tuguegarao?
Yes, actually, we already had preemptive evacuation as early as November 10 and 11 when I met with our disaster council, and we already had the evacuation on the traditional barangays which were being flooded every time we have strong rains. Mm-hmm. So the problem is, we underestimated the flow of water and the amount of water coming in to Tuguegarao, so that the areas which were not really being flooded traditionally, they had high waters. Even my barangay itself, it was also flooded. Even our house was flooded.
Yes. Mayor, speaking of barangays, how many barangays are still flooded in your city, and how many families in total have been affected?
Yes, as of yesterday, we still have, the water is really subsided. The water has subsided, but we still have some barangays with some water. Very few barangays now have some water. Our main thoroughfares are all possible now, except the Pinakanawan of Tuguegarao is perennially being flooded, even with very not so strong rains. So the affected people or families, at the height of the flooding, we had about more than 34,000 families comprising of about 118,000 people. And we still have, I visited 2 evacuation centers yesterday. We still have people in our evacuation centers. We still have about 800 families comprising about 3,000 individuals.
All right. Mayor, has aid reached all the communities, or may iba pa ho pang mga residente na hindi pa na-rescue?
No, we do not rescue people anymore. It was only at the height of the flooding, the night before that, November 13, that people were asking for rescue. The following day at 6 o'clock in the morning, when our people were already in their places, they do not want to leave their areas anymore, and we saw that there was no need for a forced evacuation, although we have an ordinance for that. There was no need for forced evacuation because the water has begun subsiding at that time, November 14 in the morning.
All right, well, that is some good news at least. Sir, for the residents of Tuguegarao, especially those in evacuation centers, what are their critical needs right now?
The main challenge now in our evacuation centers, as I have observed, is people have been very complacent now about COVID-19. It is as if people forgot that we still have a very big challenge on the transmission of COVID cases in our city. As of now, we still have a high number of active cases. We still have about 100 active cases in our city, and a big chunk of that, a big number of that, are our health workers. And up to now, we are monitoring the situation in our city, and we have been telling our barangay captains and those in the evacuation centers, because we have designated health officers or protocol officers in the evacuation centers to remind the people that we still have a very big challenge on COVID cases here in our city. That's the biggest challenge, because help has been coming in the form of food and water, but they still need, of course, food and water because of the so much affected people in our area. But we are still continuing our efforts on relief. That is the main effort now of the city, or its own relief operations. And I would like to thank at this time our different national line agencies for helping us. The President was here, the Vice President was here yesterday, and
That's
the
right,
different
sir.
secretaries were here. Yes, all of them were here looking at our situation in Cagayan and in Tuguegarao, and of course in our neighboring provinces.
Yeah, I'm sure you definitely welcome all the help and support from the national government. Now, Mayor, we understand that it was your birthday and you were out of town during the storm. Sir, can you explain to us why exactly did you leave, especially since the DILG is now asking you to explain your absence during that critical time?
Yes, I will be submitting my written explanation to the Secretary today. I left last November 8th. Tuguegarao City and Cagayan was never under any storm signal. So I left. I had a meeting in Manila at November 9. I decided to spend my birthday with, I'm really very sorry for that, my birthday with my family. This was the second time I visited my family in 8 months. So, but I was monitoring the situation in Tuguegarao. As a matter of fact, I called for a Zoom meeting with our council, disaster council, to make the preemptive evacuation in areas which were traditionally being flooded. So I'm really very sorry for that. I underestimated the situation. But when I monitored, we were monitoring the rise of the Buntun River based on our disaster monitoring. And when it was rising, I decided to go home on the 12th, but I was not able to go through NLEX.
Oh,
So I
kasi
was
sarado na
advised
siya, no, Mayor?
Yes po.
Okay, sir, but
Pero
what do you say?
Wala pa po. Sa Tuguegarao, wala pa po. It's only on the 13th. So I decided to go home at about 3 o'clock in the morning. I can no longer enter through two entrances. So I took the Kalinga route, and I was able to reach Tuguegarao in the afternoon, just in time for our rescue at night.
Right. But lastly, Mayor, sabi ni Yusek Jonathan Malaya na under Oplan listo, the protocol is for mayors to be on alert at least 48 hours before the typhoon hits land. And we all knew that this typhoon was coming. What do you say to that, sir?
Yes, Ms. Ria. But Tuguegarao was never under any storm signal. It was the protocol is we should be at our area once a storm will hit our area. Tuguegarao was not part of the storm signal, not even number 1 or whatever. So we were preparing actually for the flooding.
All right.
We took our preparations on the flooding, not really on the rains, because we were never under storm signal is not even number 1 in Tuguegarao and Cagayan.
Right.
So, but we were preparing for the flooding because this has been a yearly preparation for us. As a matter of fact, we did not spend all our money for COVID because I was expecting for a typhoon or a flooding every year here in our area. So we were more or less prepared. We were not only prepared that it will take this high. It was this much water coming into Tuguegarao.
Okay, thank you so much,
really a lesson
Mayor.
for
I'm
us,
afraid
and I'm really very sorry.
Yeah, we have to leave it there, Mayor. But thank you so much for your time. We appreciate it. We know that you have a lot to attend to. That was Tuguegarao Mayor Jefferson Soriano.